Welcome back to the AI Biopharma Playbook channel. Today, we're diving deep into a company that could be on the verge of a major breakthrough in a space that hasn't seen real innovation in over 15 years. We're talking about Tonix Pharmaceuticals and their new fibromyalgia treatment, Tonmya. This isn't just another pill. It's a completely new approach, and it could be a game changer for millions of people. So, what makes Tonmya so special? First off, it's the first new FDA-approved treatment for fibromyalgia in a very long time. For a condition that's historically been underserved and misunderstood, that's huge. The drug itself is a non-opioid, once-daily tablet that you dissolve under your tongue. It's a special formulation of a well-known molecule, 𝗧𝗢𝗡𝗫, but it's engineered to absorb rapidly and bypass the liver. This design is clever because it minimizes the creation of a metabolite that often causes unwanted side effects, leading to a much cleaner safety profile. The clinical trial results are pretty compelling. Patients taking Tonmya saw statistically significant reductions in their daily pain. But it doesn't stop there. They also reported major improvements in sleep quality, less fatigue, and better daily functioning. One of the most common side effects was a brief, mild numbness under the tongue, which usually went away on its own. What's really key here is that Tonmya directly targets one of the core problems in fibromyalgia: poor, non-restorative sleep. By improving sleep, it helps break the vicious cycle of pain and fatigue, all without the risks tied to opioids, benzodiazepines, or other sedating drugs. Plus, with strong patent protection expected to last well into the 2030s, Tonix has a solid runway to establish Tonmya in the market. Now, let's talk about the market itself, because the numbers are staggering. It's estimated that somewhere between 6 and 12 million adults in the United States suffer from fibromyalgia, with the majority being women. But here's the thing, because the symptoms can be so varied and the condition has been historically downplayed, a lot of people are underdiagnosed or not receiving consistent treatment. The immediately reachable market for a new therapy like Tonmya is estimated to be around 2 to 3 million patients. That's a massive opportunity right out of the gate, with even more potential for growth as awareness improves and more people seek help. For these patients, fibromyalgia is a chronic condition that severely impacts their quality of life. Existing treatments often come with a trade-off: either they don't work well enough, or the side effects are too much to handle. This is where Tonmya carves out its niche. It tackles a crucial intersection of symptoms: poor sleep, chronic pain, fatigue, and mood issues. No other single therapy currently on the market is designed to do this in the same way. To really understand Tonmya's potential, we have to look at the competitive landscape. For the last decade, doctors have been relying on older, repurposed drugs. Think gabapentinoids like Lyrica or antidepressants like 𝗧𝗢𝗡𝗫 and 𝗧𝗢𝗡𝗫. None of these were specifically designed to fix the non-restorative sleep that is so central to fibromyalgia. Tonmya represents a scientific shift. It's built around the idea that if you can fix the sleep dysregulation, you can fundamentally improve how the central nervous system processes pain. This is a much more targeted approach than just general pain relief. There's also a big market pull for safer alternatives. Patients and doctors are increasingly concerned about the side effects and risks of existing medications, from the misuse potential of opioids and pregabalin to the systemic side effects of antidepressants. A non-opioid therapy with a mild side effect profile is exactly what the market has been waiting for. When we start seeing real-world data, it's likely to show not just symptom improvement, but also better daily function, lower healthcare costs, and a better overall quality of life for patients. Let's do a head-to-head comparison. Against a drug like Lyrica, Tonmya doesn't have the associated weight gain, sedation, or risk of misuse. And while Lyrica helps with pain, it doesn't directly improve sleep architecture in the way Tonmya does. When you compare it to antidepressants like 𝗧𝗢𝗡𝗫 or 𝗧𝗢𝗡𝗫, Tonmya avoids the common gastrointestinal issues, sexual side effects, and difficult withdrawal symptoms. Plus, its simple bedtime dosing is a lot more user-friendly than medications that need to be taken throughout the day. The bottom line is that Tonmya's unique sublingual delivery, focus on sleep, and favorable safety profile make it a truly differentiated product. Its ability to work quickly with a single nightly dose should lead to better patient adherence and satisfaction. So where does Tonix stand right now in terms of bringing this to market? They've cleared some major hurdles. They've had successful meetings with the FDA, and they've run multiple phase 3 trials that have shown the drug is safe and effective. The FDA even granted it Fast Track designation, which is a clear signal that they recognize the urgent need for new fibromyalgia treatments. On the business side, Tonix is building out its commercial team, its medical affairs group, and its strategy for getting insurance companies on board. Like many biotechs at this stage, they've been operating lean and raising capital as needed, but now they're focused on scaling up manufacturing and securing their supply chain. It's worth noting that an earlier trial didn't meet its primary goal, but the company learned from it, adjusted the protocols, and then delivered clear positive results in later trials, which actually strengthens the case for the drug's effectiveness. Now for the big question, what could this all be worth? Let's break down the valuation. A typical model would look at that reachable market of 2 to 3 million patients. If Tonmya can capture about 20 to 25% of that market within 5 to 7 years, which is a reasonable assumption for a drug this differentiated, we're looking at a significant patient base. Let's assume a price point in the mid-thousands of dollars per year, which is standard for a chronic specialty therapy like this. We'll also factor in typical pharma gross margins around 70% and a discount rate of about 12%, which is appropriate for a biotech moving into the commercial phase. So what does the forecast look like? In the first year, expect a slow and steady start. Patient uptake will likely be in the low single digits as the company builds momentum. Revenue could be in the low hundreds of millions, and the company will probably post a net loss because of all the heavy launch expenses. But by years 3 and 4, things could really start to accelerate. If adoption climbs into the mid-teens percentage range, revenues could approach or even cross the billion-dollar mark. As the sales operation matures and becomes more efficient, Tonix could become cash flow positive. Looking out 5 years and beyond, if market penetration hits that 20 to 25% target, annual revenues could very well exceed $1 billion, generating substantial operating income. When you discount all that future potential back to today's value, you get a wide range. In a conservative scenario with lower market share and pricing, the franchise might be worth just under $500 million. In a more optimistic scenario with strong market traction, the valuation could easily exceed $1 billion. The base case likely falls somewhere in between, in that several hundred million to near billion-dollar range. Of course, this is highly sensitive to things like insurance coverage, patient adherence, and how competitors react. Naturally, there are risks. Physician adoption might be slower than hoped. Insurance companies could put up barriers, like requiring patients to try older, cheaper drugs first. There could be manufacturing hiccups with the specialized sublingual formula, and there's always the risk that real-world side effects look different than they did in the controlled environment of a clinical trial. And like any small biotech, Tonix will need to manage its cash carefully until it becomes consistently profitable. For investors, one way to hedge this risk could be through something called contingent value rights, or CVRs, which are basically bonus payments tied to specific commercial milestones, like hitting a certain revenue target. Looking ahead, the next couple of years will be full of catalysts that could drive the company's value. We'll be watching for those initial insurance coverage decisions. We'll be tracking prescription numbers, especially among specialist doctors. We'll be looking for real-world evidence that confirms the drug's benefits. And we'll be watching for any news about expanding the drug's use or potential partnership deals. Each positive step will de-risk the launch and boost the company's valuation. So, what's the 5-year outlook? Tonmya is genuinely positioned to reshape how fibromyalgia is treated. The unmet need is enormous, and the lack of innovation has created a perfect opening. Even with just moderate success, Tonix could see significant revenue and earnings growth as it makes the leap from a development company to a commercial one. While the execution risks are real, the overall picture suggests a compelling risk-reward scenario, especially for investors who are comfortable with the volatility that comes with small-cap biotech. It's a fascinating story to watch, and we'll be keeping a close eye on it. Thanks for tuning in today. If you found this analysis helpful, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of biotech. See you in the next video.